Hey everyone, just thought I'd do a little video on this website update that I've been working on today. I'm not sure if this is useful to anyone, but it's something that I have been trying to figure out how to visualize. When you're trying to calculate how many shares that you're going to make if you do a pair trade between MicroStrategy and Tesla. So rather than having like a calculator or a spreadsheet, I thought, why not create a kind of like a matrix where you have along the top, you've got all these MicroStrategy prices, and you've got down this side, you've got all the Tesla prices. Um, and these are dynamic. So basically what's happening is right now the MicroStrategy price is 321.30. So that's dynamic. And that correlates to this middle column. And then 247 is the Tesla price. Again, that's this one here, this middle column. So basically what's happening is all the prices from here going that way is MicroStrategy getting cheaper. And here, MicroStrategy from the live price getting more expensive. And same for Tesla, getting cheaper and coming down here, getting more expensive. And basically, if you link up these prices, so let's say 298.25 and 240.22, the ratio comes to 1.24. So that's basically the logic behind that. And obviously, this heat map, which is it kind of visualizes that. So when you have dark green, it means that the ratio is very different from what it is now. And when it's white, it's basically the same. And that's why this is diagonally white all the way through here, because basically the ratio isn't changing from what it is right now, which is 1.17. So hopefully that makes sense. So basically you can see here, like you can just straight away see, okay, well, when MicroStrategy is this price, 351.32, and Tesla's this price, then the ratio will be this. And you might have noticed the little tooltip that pops up. So when you when you move your mouse over different cells, it will tell you based on today's ratio, which is 1.17, if you swapped at this ratio, then you would get that if you did the swap, uh, if you set the bag up today and then you swap at 1.42, based on a bag of 200 shares of each, you'd have 190 MicroStrategy and 214.20 Tesla. So it's just a quick way to work out how many shares you would gain just from today's point, from today's ratio to whatever ratio in the future you're doing. And obviously, if you go back to a lower ratio, it'll go the other way. So you'll have more MicroStrategy and less Tesla. So that's how that works. You can set up different settings in here. So you can have so here it's actually a live price. It's pulling it directly from, it's a dynamic price, but you can change that if you want. I don't know why you would want to do that. I guess what you could do is if you think that like you want to do, later this year, so maybe it's going to be like 700, and let's say, I don't know, 500. If you update this, it will then update this matrix to to future ratios, basically. So you can kind of plan ahead what might happen in the future. But if you just by default, when you load the website, it will load the actual live MicroStrategy price from the middle onwards. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Uh, so based on this live price for MicroStrategy and Tesla, you have a ratio of 1.6, 1.16, yep. And that will change as the prices change. You shouldn't need to change that either, but again, you could if you want. I'm not sure why you'd want to. Here you can set the amount of shares that you've got, so your starting position. So let's put in, I don't know, 100 and that, and then you can set here how many shares you want to do per swap. So you could say you want to go heavy. Let's do 25 shares um, per swap. So that if you update that, that will then change the way the logic of the matrix works. Here is where you can change the spacing of each column and row. So right now, the live price is 320, which is this one, and the gap between each of these rows is 1.5%. So if you want to, so let's say you're doing much, if you're doing less, if you're doing a smaller amount of trades, you might want to wait for the ratio to change more dramatically. So right now it's 1.17 all the way up to 1.57, which is quite a big difference. But if you wanted to do like more regular trades, you could put this down to like 0.80. And then that will then have a narrower trading range, so 1.17 to 1.37. So yeah, you can just tweak this to how you want it. I think let's put it on, I don't know, 1.1. So that gives us 1.17 up to 1. Let's go a bit further because I think we're going to go up to probably 1.5 again, maybe. So let's try 1.25. Yeah, that gives us almost 1.5. Okay, so once you've done that, you can now, the second thing you can do as well is not only can you work out how many shares you would have based on opening a position today and then closing the position, in the future. That's how many shares you would have if you did that swap. So 75 MicroStrategy, 137, 35 Tesla. What you can also do is you can click once to open a trade. So let's say you want to open a trade on when the price of MicroStrategy gets to 337, and when the price of Tesla gets to, I don't know, 262. So let's say that's well, let's do 1.20. Let's find that. There is no 1.20. Let's do 1.21. So that's not too far away. Maybe next week it'll get to 1.21 because the price of MaxStretch will go up and the price of Tesla will go down. So we'll start the trade on this day. So when we do that, it then down at the bottom it says that you've done an entry swap. So basically, you've set up the bag by swapping 25 MicroStrategy for 30.24 Tesla at the 1.21 ratio, and that means you now have a total amount of shares of 75 MicroStrategy and 130.24 Tesla. So you can write that down somewhere as your opening or entry trade. You can then click somewhere else on the matrix. So let's say you're going to wait until the ratio changes by, I don't know, 0.20 or yeah, let's say 0.20. So then you find the appropriate ratio based on the price target you've got. And obviously you can use TA to kind of figure out your price targets. But let's say we're going for this one here. So there's the entry, there's the exit. And then down here, it now says you've done an exit swap where you've swapped 25. So you swapped back now 25 MicroStrategy for 30 Tesla at 1.39 ratio, and you've gained 4.43 Tesla shares as a result of doing that entry and exit pair trade. And then it gives you the total amount of shares that you would have gained from doing that pair trade. And if you change the amount of shares that you're doing per swap, it'll obviously if you do that again, you're gaining slightly more shares. So you basically tweak this to suit the amount of shares I mean, basically what you can use this for is to kind of figure out what would happen if you trade between two ratios, and also how many shares you would gain based on what would happen between those two ratios, plus how many shares you're trading per pair trade. I think that's pretty much it. I will try at some point to add on US dollar amounts, so it'll figure out how many dollars you would have made, but that's a bit trickier because obviously yeah, it's going to take a bit of maths to figure that out. I'm so tired and so jet lagged from traveling about, so I will leave that for now. But anyway, this is hopefully useful for some people. If not, let me know what I could do to make it better. But otherwise, yeah, cool.